Peace, y'all. What's going on, man? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Ops Podcast, man. Y'all know what it is. Before I dive into the next episode, I need y'all to do some things for me. I need y'all to like, share, and most importantly, I need y'all to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss none of this free game that I've been dripping on y'all. And this will be the 8th episode. And this episode is titled Never Had, Never Done, Never Will. It's going to be a good one, y'all. Let's get into it. Never had, never done, never will. To get the things that we never had, we must execute on new things that we've never done. And this all stems from our habits and routines of comfort. Our identity is derived of things we're willing to accept for ourselves. Not things that we have to do, but things that we're willing to accept for ourselves, as well as the excuses we make for not making changes to show up as a new self. One of the key points and one of the things that I had to pretty much label for myself as I went through my transition, my transformation was I had to release myself to reach myself. And that started by addressing some of the things that, like ownership of who we truly are, self accountability for our negative behaviors and the vices and the things that we carry, admitting that our current lifestyle and its habits that we know ain't constructive. We know they're not constructive, they're more destructive to the goals and to the things that we say that we want. But for some reason, we stuck in this comfort zone and we won't release ourselves to ultimately reach ourselves. So that was a big thing for me. I had to stain that in the brain and keep telling myself, now I got to release myself if I really want to reach myself. And for me, releasing myself was letting go of my pretty much my circle that I was consumed with. It was pretty much breathing life into the bad habits and into the things that I knew if I carried on in this certain way, I was never going to be able to reach myself because I had myself bind in a situation to where I couldn't be my true self. I had to wear a coat. I had to keep a, certain jacket on in order to be who I was in that certain lifestyle or whatever it may have been. And that's just the nature of the beast. You know what I'm saying? You playing baseball, you got to work on your game. You got to work on your swing. You got to work on you know what I'm saying, your fielding, whatever position you may be. Playing football, you got to hit that iron. You got to stay. So in that game, in that realm that I was in, I fulfilled my role as that, but ultimately that wasn't my true self. That was a persona that I had to keep up until I was able to release myself to reach myself. And a lot of times, and all the times, I like to say that we know what's best and we know how to reach ourselves. But that constant commitment to the convenience, y'all, we stay so committed to things when they convenient and when they easy and when it's more of a comfort zone and things like that. It's easy to commit, you know what I'm saying? But the hardest thing to do was stepping into that change and shedding that new skin, realizing once we grow into a new skin, we can no longer go backwards. You know what I'm saying? As we stretch and grow, we can no longer go backwards into that same person. We can look back years down the line and reflect and see, like for me, quick example, I was talking to one of my partners the other day and we was chopping it up and he been in alignment for the last 2, 3 years. And we remember having a conversation 2, 3 years ago when I first stepped into an online class and a mentorship and things like that. And I was saying how, man, I need to rearrange and change my situation. And I put certain things down on paper, as far as my place in ownership, my mental status, how I want to upgrade things, the life around me, the things that I had, the space that I was walking into. And we was just chopping it up and he was like, man, do you realize 3 years ago, everything that we walking in today, we was talking about then because we were able and ready to shed that skin, diving deeper into who we were and not really selling for them shadow puddles of just a little drop here, a little drop there, but it's no consistency because we weren't able to uncommit or decommit to that comfort zone. And that's what I call being committed to convenience when you just want to stay in that comfort zone. You want to splash in the puddles. You want to get wet, but you don't want to jump all the way in the deep end and jump off the porch and do the things that ultimately that you got to do to level up and get to the next place. Hence why I say, if we're not willing to do things that we've never done, then we will never see the things that we've never seen. And that can apply to a lot of things. That could apply to weight loss. That can apply to lifestyle. That can apply to a bag of money. If you're not willing to do the things that you've never done before, then don't expect to get the results that you've never seen before. It's just that simple, family. Y'all keep track. Most people fear showing up for themselves in the new skin because of, like I said, I had to release myself from my circle. So most people, they fear that loss of people and, the sacrifices that they have to be made, what I'm saying, leaving behind and knowing that most of the life we knew before would be a thing of the past. The thought of just that in itself is an inconvenience. Bruh. It sounds like too much for some people to handle. So they'll sit in that same space and they'll never truly, get out of themselves. They'll be okay with just making excuses and going along with it. And that's why I say we can no longer have a commitment to these conveniences, because those are the things that keep us in the rerun and the repeat and the cycle of life. Furthermore, excuse the excuses. What you mean by that, Double R? Sit back. I'm going to drop it on you. We must not accept the excuses we give ourselves. We have to stop accepting, we got to stop accepting the lies for ourselves. Bruh. And what do I mean by that? Man, think of it like this. Think about the time when somebody lied to you, or they misled you, or they looked you right in your face and you asked them something and they lied to you blatantly, knowing that whatever they was telling you wasn't true. Think about that emotion. Think about that sense of rage. Think about how things, how your viewpoint was on them or how you felt about themselves. We'll accept that from ourselves. We'll look ourselves in the mirror and lie to ourselves, but then get mad and want to buck up on somebody when they lie to us. You got to be more upset looking in the mirror and lying to yourself than when other people lie to you that are pretty much trying to tell you what they think you want to hear or whatever it may be. If you're not upset with the lies that you tell to yourself, then something is wrong with you. Ultimately, something is wrong with you, because you may feel betrayed, you may feel disrespected, but if there's no connection to yourself and you accept lies for yourself, then how do you ever expect to get out of the state of excuses and get out of reasons that you give yourself for not doing that, reasons that you give yourself for quitting on yourself, reasons that you give yourself and excuses that you give yourself for keep going around the same circle, reasons that you give yourself for not pushing yourself, reasons that you give yourself to go home and sit on the game or the Xbox or whatever and play the bullshit all night instead of tapping into yourself and trying to do things that's going to get you to the next level. If those things ain't a pain and a pain in your ass and they'll make you hurt when you think about, damn, I told myself I was going to, go work out today and I ain't do it. I told myself 6 months ago I was going to start doing this and I didn't do it. Those is all lies, family. Those is all lies, bold-faced lies that you look yourself in the mirror every day and you accepting the fact that you lie to yourself every day. So whether small or big, we can't excuse the excuses that we make for ourselves. We just can't do that. We have to look at that as you lying to yourself. That will ultimately, it will affect your health and will affect your wealth, because you lying to yourself and making excuses is probably allowing you to keep those negative vices in your life. You lying to yourself is probably allowing you to only have enough money to get by, because you making excuses and you justify things for not leveling up and not making the moves that you should be to acquire the things that you want. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not willing to do something that you never did, but you want something that you never seen. That don't add up. That don't add up. It just don't go. So let's reflect on those three main points because I want to point them out to you. So these are things that you can write down or whatever you may need to do in order to stay on track. Number one, you have to release yourself to reach yourself. You got to release yourself. You got to release yourself of the vices of the circle or the people or the friendships or the relationships, whatever it may be. You got to release yourself from anything that's not constructive to the things that you want. It's just that simple. Everybody is not meant to go with you to your destination. You know what I'm saying? You run into certain people along the way on the journey. That's what makes it the journey. But the destination is the destination. Those people are supposed to be there at the end. They already there. They're already there. God is waiting on you for you to shift your mindset, get out of the mentality that you got ops and you got all this other stuff holding you back and you got to worry about this, the white man, whatever it may be. Get that out your head and understand that until you release yourself, you will never reach yourself. That's one. Two, you have to become decommitted to convenience. There's so many different things that are convenient that we become committed to that there's no way to get out of, that same cycle that we in because we don't want to be uncomfortable for a second. We want to be committed to the things that are convenient, to the things that are easy, to the things that are comfortable. And at the end of the day, that's not any commitment because that's not any change in the right direction. That's destructive, not constructive, because it's going to keep you at a standstill and it's going to keep you to where you look back in the year and you're going to be like, damn, I told myself I was going to do that 2 years ago and you still ain't did it because leading to number three, you won't excuse the excuses. You okay with lying to yourself. The lies you tell, you will look in the mirror and make excuses for the lies that you tell yourself. And when you think about it like that, it's quite frightening and it's really sick. You know what I'm saying? That you accept the lies and you accept excuses from yourself, but you won't let nobody else lie to you without saying something, without feeling something, without, you know what I'm saying? Without addressing it or without standing on business. But the business that you need to be standing on with yourself, you'll excuse it and you'll let it go on and on and on. And you may be even in circles where people are trying to help you get you to elevate, but because you're okay with excuses and you're okay with the reasons that you give yourself, shit, you're gonna be ever be there. You're gonna forever be there and you will never see the things that you have never seen because you're not willing to do the things that you've never done. So staying on top of these will ultimately lead to the change and the things that we want and the things that we never seen. Doing doing things we've never done this far is the only way to attain the things that we've never seen. Without truth, eternal change, and the things that I mentioned, the life, it can't and it won't surface until we do those things, family. And that's just what it is. I had to stop making excuses and stop lying to myself. I had to become decommitted to the convenience and the just the luxury of not doing shit and accepting just the bare minimum in order to level up. And I started out by telling y'all how I had to release myself to reach myself. I had to, separate myself from certain circles and certain things. And it's nothing against those people because in my bros, I still rock with them, whatever circle, whether it was coworkers, whether it was cats that I roll with, whatever, I still rock with them just the same. I just knew for me personally, I had to separate myself because they was just part of the journey. Everybody wasn't part of the destination. And I'm focused on the destination. You understand what I'm saying? We have to stay focused on the destination. And if we accepting the lies to ourselves, there is no destination. Just call it what it is. There is no destination as long as we accepting lies for ourselves. So in conclusion to all this, man, I just want to say that I truly believe and know that we all have a purpose and calling. And I also believe that we all reach a point in life to where our calling is burning on the inside. and it's beating us up on the inside. And it almost, it takes more of a toll to hear that call and to hear that phone ring and to know that something is calling for us that's bigger to help us get to that abundant life. But we won't do any of the three things that I mentioned. We won't release ourselves to reach ourselves. We won't become decommitted to convenience, and we won't excuse the excuses and the lies that we tell ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because we know the vices of our circles. We know the things that we have to no longer commit to, as well as the lies and excuses that we face that we must no longer become okay with accepting. You know what I'm saying? Out of fear of seeing and being renewed, we must kill the thoughts of the culture. That culture, I'm doing it for the culture. I'm doing it for the culture. Man, that's bullshit. Don't do it for the culture. Do it for the kingdom, because God is the one that brought you here. The kingdom ain't bring you here. I mean, I'm sorry. The culture ain't bring you here. The kingdom and that mentality, that's what got you here. And that's why you was birthed. You know what I'm saying? Out of all the different people, that's why you was able to see life. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, because God had a vision for you, He had a plan for you in the womb before you even came out. There was a purpose and a calling on your life. So the longer you sit back and delay that calling, the more things you're going to see in front of you, to where, if you got any type of fight or any type of, it should bother the hell out of you. The fact that you sitting back, seeing other people do stuff, and don't go by what you see, because then people ain't telling you about the times when they had to go to the dark. I'm going to tell you about the time when I had to go to the dark and I hit all the way rock bottom, and I had to go live with grandma for 3 years as a man being over 40. I had to go live with grandma. I was taking care of her, waking up late nights, calling me in the middle of the night, all type of shit, y'all. But ultimately, that put me in the space to where I had to really reach myself. You know what I'm saying? There was no more excuses, because I couldn't put on the facade like things was this or that. I had to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? So there was no lying to myself. And as far as being convenient, there was nothing convenient about being a 40-year-old man living with grandma that can't get out the bed, and I got to take care of her. She calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning, all different type of things. And it ain't no shade or nothing on grandma. This is just to put perspective on y'all, how we got to go into the dark. We got to step into the fire before we can ultimately come out unscathed and repolished and refined. You know what I'm saying? Pressure going to either bust a pipe or it's going to make a diamond. And a lot of us are scared of that pressure. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that pressure on yourself, and you got to stop giving a damn about other people's opinions. Stop caring about their comments. Stop caring about certain friendships that you've been, oh man, I've been cool with them all my life. I don't care. They ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people who want you to come with them, they ain't going nowhere, because ultimately we need to be in the circles where we're not, always the leader. We're not always the smartest person in the room. We want to be in circles where we can ask questions and get game and pick up on stuff from other people that's around us. You know what I'm saying? And we have to accept that the life that we see, daydream, think about, lay in the bed, imagine, all that's reachable and attainable. But it don't, and it won't include your current habits, the people and excuses you've grown to accept until maybe even till today. After listening to this podcast, hopefully y'all can take something from this and be like, damn, man, that brother right. You know what I'm saying? It's been way too long. I've been accepting these lies for myself. I've been sitting in the same spot, being comfortable, all these other things. It's time to man up. It's time to woman up. Whatever it may be, it's time. You know what I'm saying? It's time to stop playing. And you know, at the end of the day, the name of the podcast is derived around the mentality. Because in my mentality, it ain't no real ops. The only ops is opportunities. And if you're looking at things like there's real ops, it's because you don't have the perception of turning anything that's opposing into an opportunity. Because I feel like in the kingdom mindset, it ain't no losses, baby. We don't take losses. We just receive lessons. And those lessons is blessings, and they gonna get us to the other side as long as we got the right perspective. But if we looking at everything like the world is against us, oh, and it's only us, and we got to deal with this, and ain't nobody got heart, that's weak. And that's just another excuse to keep you at a standstill and to keep your life on rerun to where it's just a constantly wash, rinse, and repeat. It ain't no renew, it ain't no rejuvenation in the midst of that. It's just wash, rinse, and repeat. So hopefully, man, y'all was able to pick up some jewels out of the conversation, man. Because just remember, if you're not willing to do something that you've never done, then you can't expect to see something that you've never seen. And if you're not willing to do something that you've never done to get something that you never have, then you never will reach that goal and meet that abundance and live in the purpose and the calling that God has put you here for, man. And that's just how I wrap it up. That's the food for the thought. Y'all do the dishes, y'all make the table, y'all set it up how y'all want to. But just remember, if you're not willing to do the things that you've never done, don't expect to see something that you've never seen. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. It's a lot of free game coming out here. Hey, what can I say? It's not going to always be free, y'all. It's not going to always be free. But until y'all understand the value and the experience and, the forethought that I put into these episodes when I sit here, this ain't something that I'm just sitting here freestyling. I take my time. I go into thought. I write things down. I take notes. And I make sure that at the end of each episode, you understand that it ain't no real ops. It's just opportunities out there. And either we're going to seize them or we're going to watch other people seize them. And we're just going to sit back and continue to make excuses and continue to just wash, rinse, and repeat. Y'all stay up. Thank y'all for tuning to another episode of the Real Ops Podcast, man. Peace.